Isn't he Mexican?
Colombian.
He calls himself American.
What is this?
Anchor Baby.
And in this corner, it's the American Anchor Baby.
Daddy's home.
That's an offensive term. People find that hurtful.
You mean it's not politically correct? Excuse me. I'll use the word anchor baby.
You know, he's an anchor baby in Canada.
Tell him we still rolling with Trump, too.
Anchor baby, the whole thing sounds horrific. You're just making it sound like immigrants are these horrific, greedy people.
Ustedes pueden aceptar mi negocio o aceptar las consecuencias. Plata o plomo.
So you would be considered white, in my opinion.
You the blackest one in this room.
I think so.
And what happened was his mama got pregnant on the other side of the border. And then a few hours before, just before it was time for him to pop out, she jumped across the border and let him fall on America's soil. So he became the anchor baby. You don't call him the anchor baby for nothing. Amazing.
We like this anchor baby, right?
What is up, everybody? Welcome. Thanks for joining me today. Thanks for tuning in to my show. I'm the American Anchor Baby. What is up? Hey, welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you for joining me. Make sure before we get into it to just follow and subscribe. Follow, subscribe your boy here on YouTube and on Rumble / American Anchor Baby. And yeah, follow and subscribe. Let's go. So, here's what we're going to get into. Big UFO news. All right, truthers. All right, boys. Big alien news. All right, it's real. It's all real. What's up, two boyos? Zoomer generation, new names, welcome. But it's all real. You guys heard? Did you guys hear the news? Drop everything else. Ignore everything else. Anything that's going on in the country, in your lives. We got big news. UFOs are in the news again. And there's this whistleblower and big bombshell interview with this guy. Okay? We're going to get into it here. As well as some other things. We got some fun stuff to get into, I think. Some news and other things, as well as your calls. 888-775-3773. When I'm in the studio, it's the same number as the Jesse Lee Peterson show. If we're in a plane, it's a different number. Just remember that. If we're in a plane, it's a different number. But right now, it's 888-775-3773. So, UFOs are in the news. U.S. urged to reveal UFO evidence after claim that it has intact alien vehicles, reports The Guardian, as well as a lot of mainstream media and news right now. And UFOs, they became pretty much mainstream in the past couple of years after a bombshell report in 2017, but as well as the Pentagon themselves releasing what they themselves called UFO videos, UAP, unidentified aerial phenomena, is the new name for UFOs. New name for UFOs dropped. So the Pentagon themselves released these grainy, footage of U.S. fighter jet pilots, basically filming something they didn't know what it was. Fast flying, unidentified vehicles in the air, unidentified aerial phenomena, as it's called. And so the Department of Defense and the Pentagon, they confirmed what seekers of extraterrestrial life have long hoped to be true, according to the New York Times. So the UFOs were real. It became mainstream. We eventually the balloon, the China weather balloon, was culminated. It culminated in the weather balloon. Of course, I'm playing around. We still don't know what these UFOs are. So that became mainstream for a little bit. We had Tucker doing reports on them, on the UFOs, rather. But the Pentagon, they released these videos, they were just saying that they didn't say that they were extraterrestrial in nature, okay? That's the point. They confirmed the sightings, over 140 of them. They eventually released a report on them, on these sightings, and they concluded, although the nature of these sightings were inconclusive in its evidence, they didn't say it was aliens. Just putting out the information, okay? Just giving you the information, you make the conclusions you wish to make. And right away at the time, there was Democrats like Adam Schiff praising the report because, as Adam Schiff said at the time, I'm paraphrasing a little bit, but he said these unexplained aerial phenomena events aren't as rare as we once thought. At the time, Marco Rubio, Republican from Florida, also praised these investigations, saying it's a good first step to catalog these sightings, but more has to be done. And that became a hot topic for what seems like years now. It's interesting to think about. This Pentagon thing was 2021. The New York Times thing, which we'll get into, 2017. So it's been a bit of a hot topic. Up and down, but, now a renewed buzz for the alien story. Well, what's happening now is this whistleblower, a military whistleblower, in an exclusive interview with News Nation, reveals what he's saying is that the government is in possession of intact alien, non-human, he says, non-human spacecraft, vehicles, craft of non-human origins, okay? And information is, the whistleblower is David Grush, a former intelligence official, okay? 14-year career in U.S. intelligence. David Grush. So David Grush in this News Nation bombshell report, we'll get into a couple clips here. Because he's saying what people have been, what the truthers, the ones who wish to believe, have been waiting for. A first of its kind bombshell reporting. There are aliens. Aliens. Okay. Let's play some of this footage. So I can get into it. Check it out. This is David Grush, News Nation report. And you'll hear, I'm playing you the beginning of it and everything because I want you guys to get the vibe News Nation is putting out, the importance of the story. Okay. Let's play it.
Bombshell claims from a military whistleblower. UFO wreckage recovered by the U.S. kept classified by a secret government program for decades. Tonight, a world television exclusive you will only see on News Nation.
Big.
Welcome to Elizabeth Vargas Reports, earning your trust every night.
Earning your trust.
UFOs exist. The U.S. government found quite a number of them, and they are indeed of non-human origin. Those are the explosive allegations from a former intelligence officer tonight in a whistleblower complaint that the Inspector General is taking very seriously.
Ooh, the Inspector General.
36-year-old Air Force veteran David Grush is exposing what he calls a top-secret military program that has reportedly found wreckage of fully intact UFOs. The government now calls them UAPs, or unidentified anomalous phenomena. Story, and this
underage
is a
attracted persons.
It is a blockbuster. It's really hard to wrap your mind around this. I've been working on this for the past couple of weeks. I'm still having a hard time processing. Right. For the very first time, the world is about to hear from a former high-level U.S. intelligence officer who says the government has some of the unidentified craft in its possession, recently renamed the All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, or AARO. And now in a News Nation exclusive, David Grush, an Air Force veteran, former member of that task force, and veteran of the National Geospatial Intelligence Agency, is formally blowing the whistle on secrets he says no one has ever shared publicly before.
He's an
authority.
authority.
Journalist Ross Coulthart, who's reporting for News Nation and has spent years reporting on the UFO question.
The UFO question.
What conclusion did you come to at the end of your time on the UAP task force?
The UAP task force was refused access to a broad crash retrieval program.
When you say crash retrieval, what do you mean?
These are retrieving non-human origin technical vehicles, call it spacecraft if you will, non-human, exotic origin vehicles that have either landed or crashed.
We have spacecraft from another species.
We do, yeah.
Whoa, big report, big report. Of course, I'm being a little sarcastic. But as you can see, they certainly think it's a very big story, bombshell story. You heard the reporter there, Elizabeth Vargas, mentioned the Inspector General even thinks this is a big deal. Now, we're going to start picking apart the story here a little bit. Right away, she's saying the Inspector General is taking this story very seriously. Now, the Inspector General she's talking about is Carl Nell, who was actually the former Inspector General of U.S. intelligence. That's not the actual name. I forget the actual name, but they have an Inspector General, okay? It's the Carl Nell, a former Inspector General, who is now David Grush's lawyer, helping him out in this whole thing here. So just a little interesting point to the story there. And you saw them report on this bombshell story. And the man says himself, non-human origin. He says, he shakes his head. He says, call it a spacecraft. There was this really funny video. They brought out the language. They brought out the body language experts to, validate or invalidate these claims. This is such a big story. They had to bring out these body language experts I saw in this other report. And this body language expert closely looks at every nod and shake of this David Grush to see if he's telling the truth. And it's just very funny. I found it funny. And that moment where David Grush, you saw in the video, go, call it spacecraft. The body language expert was dubious of that head shake. He thought that head shake in particular was a little more on the deceptive side. Obviously, that's the voice and head shake you put on when you feel ridiculous with what you're saying. You're like, well, let's call it a spacecraft, because that's the word elephant in the room word. Nobody wants to say it, but I'll say it. Call me a body language expert. So, yeah, fascinating, big bombshell claims. The Inspector General and everything. Let's watch the second clip here so I can give you my report here.
I thought it was totally nuts, and I thought at first I was being deceived. It was a ruse. People started confiding in me. They approached me. I have plenty of current and former senior intelligence officers that came to me, many of which I knew almost my whole career, that confided in me they were a part of a program. They named the program. I've never heard of it. And they told me, based on their oral testimony, and they provided me documents and other proof, that there was, in fact, a program that the UAP task force was not read into.
Grush alleges the U.S. government has recovered non-human craft for decades. He's filed a whistleblower complaint saying he gave what he calls the classified proof to Congress and the intelligence community Inspector General. News Nation has confirmed David Grush's credentials and resume. We've not seen or verified the alleged proof he says he's provided to investigators. He says he can't show us the proof for national security reasons. He also tells us he's not seen photos of the alleged craft himself, but has talked extensively with other intelligence officials who have.
If you're right, if you're telling us the truth, everyone, the entire American public, has been lied to for decades.
Yeah, there's a sophisticated disinformation campaign targeting the U.S. populace, which is extremely unethical and immoral.
You are saying to the human race, for the first time, an official intelligence representative at a high level from the U.S. government is saying publicly, we are not alone.
we're definitely not alone. Absolutely, the data points empirically that we're not alone, yeah.
Wow.
Do we have bodies? Do we have species of
Well,
non-human?
naturally, when you recover something that's either landed or crashed, sometimes you encounter dead pilots. And believe it or not, as fantastical as that sounds, it's true.
Whoa, dude. Whoa, bro. Take that, Christians. Take that, you dumb Christians. Told you it wasn't a bearded guy in the sky. You're dumb sky daddy. We have aliens. Atheists are Reddit atheists are salivating at this story. But as you heard in this part of the interview, Grush confesses he only heard about this. No, doesn't present really any evidence, and admits he hasn't seen any of the evidence himself. Now, he says he submitted some evidence to Congress, and we'll get into that in a second. This classified proof he showed to Congress, which he's not allowed to show News Nation or the public because it's classified. But as you heard, Grush confesses this, that he only heard about these things, right? And he also mentions that he had to present proof to Congress and to investigators, they say, and that this is classified information that he presented to the, investigating bodies. And so when looking into this story, which is what I'm about to tell you is widely reported, New York Post, The Guardian, etc. What he's describing there, the moment where he presented this evidence, what he's describing is his presentation to the Defense Office of Pre-Publication and Security Review, also known as DOPSR. Okay, what DOPSR is a government body that is charged with handling when a former or current government official, etc., is going to speak to the media, release a book, release a media release or something. When this individual is going to release information to the public by way of the media, a book or anything, an interview, these officials and former officials who are privy to this classified information, they have to go to DOPSR, the Defense Office of Pre-Publication and Security Review, and basically have a meeting about what you're allowed to say or not in these interviews you're about to do, books you're about to release, etc. That's the moment they're talking about. So David Grush went to DOPSR. This is widely reported. He went to DOPSR and to give them this information because what does that mean? Essentially, it means that none of the information he's saying in these interviews or anything is anything the government doesn't want out there, okay? This was all information that was cleared, okay? It's reported he went through this process and the government signed off on what he's saying. Do you see what I'm saying here? Now, everything besides, anything beyond the classified information he's not allowed to disclose according to DOPSR, well, now he's a private free citizen. Whatever stories or facts or whatever he wants to say is up to him. As long as it's not in the stuff we told you you're not allowed to say, according to DOPSR, right? So it's all signed off on, essentially, by the government. So nothing he's saying is stuff the government doesn't want you to know. You see that? Kind of an important note. Same report here from the New York Post where they reached out to him. He apparently hung up in the middle of their call. Take that however you will. And another thing here, the original story, this story that broke with the whistleblower and all that, the original story was authored by Leslie Kean and Ralph Blumenthal. These are very important names in the UFO community, I've come to learn. These are rock stars in the UFO truther community, okay? And they are the authors of this 2017 New York Times article which revealed this Pentagon UFO program which was previously kept secret, okay? And let me show you who I'm talking about. Okay. This is Leslie Kean, might be Kane, I forget how to pronounce that. like I said, a known person in these circles, releasing books on the UFOs. Yeah, articles for years, really, as early as 2000, and even before that. Leslie Kean, very involved in this UFO truther stuff. UFOs might be real. This article. Blumenthal, same thing. Ralph Blumenthal, big in this. Books about this. The Believer. Okay, and here's this New York Times article. Glowing auras and black money, the Pentagon's mysterious UFO program. And there was this bombshell article that put UFOs really in the mainstream map as we see them now. The whole UFO talk as we have heard about it, ever since the Pentagon thing and the Tucker reports and all that. Well, it was just put on the map with this 2017 article. And from that, we got a whole bunch of stuff that came out of it. This history, I forget what that, there's this channel called, where is it? Let me get into this New York Post article here, which at the time debunked all this. Not totally. There are some facts here with the Pentagon having a UFO program and stuff like that, and having reports of UAPs, an unidentified aerial phenomenon. And so some of that's true, but largely, according to the New York Post, this initial 2017 article by Leslie Kean, Ralph Blumenthal, was full of deception, erroneous information. In fact, there was this one character who came out of this 2017 debacle because this article, like I said, made UFOs a hot topic again, big time, mainstream. And this one guy named Lou Elizondo, he became a bit of a celebrity at the time. History Channel did a whole investigative report, and he was in all the promos. This guy claimed he was in charge of the U.S. government's Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program, which was initially reported in that 2017 New York Times article. Lou Elizondo came out saying he was in charge of this program. They did a History Channel thing on him, but turns out that story was false. He was never in charge of this U.S. government program. Pentagon came out and said that they don't know this guy. He was never a director there. Now the Pentagon saying this, take that however you will. Saying Elizondo had no responsibilities with the AATIP, which they also said wasn't created to investigate UFOs, according to the Pentagon. So there was talking heads that came out of this that turns out to be, largely false, erroneous information. And back to this 2017 article with Leslie Kean and Ralph Blumenthal. It was the New York Post who revealed all the erroneous information in that initial report. In fact, according to the Post, this UFO story they called it fake news, okay? They also reported how the Pentagon missed several actual incursions of foreign spycraft for years because, according to the New York Post, they were looking for UFOs at the behest, of UFO activists who spent years misleading an oblivious Congress, according to the New York Post. Okay, so these are the people behind this original reporting. Now, New York Post in their debunking also played this clip of Leslie Kean. And Leslie she did an interview with a show called UFO, put out by Showtime, okay? Let me see if I got the clip here. Hold on. And in this clip, she says, I don't think I have the clip, but I think I could pull up the video here to show you anyways. But in this clip, she basically admits that the strategy behind that 2017 article was to get people to believe in this stuff. And she admits maybe that wasn't the best course of action because, as we now know, a lot of that information was debunked or whatever. And let me see if I can pull up the clip as New York Post reported on it. I think I can. Check it out. Hold up. Oh, no, I have to connect this. Okay. I think I can. Connecting and playing. Now, I think you guys can hear this clip. Let me know if you can't. Hit me up in the chat. Let me know if you cannot hear this clip. In a moment here, I'm about to play it. Doing this kind of impromptu online searching of stuff. So let's play this. Oh, it's kind of impromptu what I'm doing here, so apologies, but check it out.
Is erroneous, factually inaccurate, deceptive. And Ms. Cain actually went on a Showtime documentary and admitted that she had a specific goal and agenda with that New York Times article, and that was to get people to believe in UFOs.
The angle that I was taking in my reporting was to try to get credibility for the subject, and I knew that that was not the way to go. That was not the first step in terms of getting people to accept this.
Through my own research,
I sure hope you heard that, but if you couldn't, it's what I just described. Leslie Cain. Give me yeah, you guys, probably a little loud, but you guys could hear it, right? Oh, let me change it to live chat. Let me know if you could hear it, please. Just so that I know for technical reasons. Okay, probably too loud, but you guys could hear it. Thank you for that. Back to this reporting here. So, I mean, that's everything. That's everything right there. Take that how you will. It seems like the media is loving this story. And it seems like there's a lot going on at the time, currently in America, in the news, foreign policy, different things happening. So, have space with everything you hear. And as you can see, there may be this whole story has there's questions. It's questionable in its credibility, in my opinion. So that's what's going on with that. Yeah, stay aware because the world is full of distractions, okay? And it seems like everything's trying to distract us and get our attention and keep our attention and be bombastic and sensational. And as you can see, the media loves it. The media loves sensational clicks and all that. Not about the truth, but about sensationalism. And just to finish this story off here, just a little bit of proof about what I'm saying. When a lot of this came out, that this initial 2017 New York Times article may be questionable in its credibility, what did the media do? They didn't report that. They didn't retract anything. They didn't say sorry. Okay? Because they already got the clicks, they already got the views, the sensationalism. Okay? So take that how you will. But that's that on the UFOs. Speaking of aliens, though, there's another kind of alien in America. They're called Guatemalans. Some of them were born, whatever. Some of them were born here, fine, anchor baby citizens. Maybe even multiple generations. But apparently, Guatemala has a presidential race, okay? And the presidential candidates campaign in America. Did you know this? Did you know that Guatemalan presidential candidates, they campaign in America? Now, this most recent one, only 3 of 23 Guatemalan presidential candidates campaigned in Los Angeles. And this is making immigrants upset. Let me show you the headline here. Oh, that's not the headline. This is the headline. Here it is. So check it. See, this is what I just read. Only 3 of 23 Guatemalan presidential candidates campaigned in L.A. Immigrants are upset. Yeah, take this in. They know that they can sway their elections by campaigning in America. Guatemalans living in the United States could help sway their homeland's politics when they vote in its June 25 presidential election. But despite the diaspora's potential clout, only a handful of candidates turned out for a May 5th candidate forum in Los Angeles that left Southern California's Guatemalan community frustrated and angry. Feelings that many know all too well when it comes to national politics. Man, why didn't they campaign? Why didn't these foreigners campaign in this country? Like, it's already ridiculous in this first paragraph. 23 candidates are contesting the office of President of the Republic of the profoundly troubled Central American nation. All of them will be chasing the 89,000 registered voters who now reside on U.S. soil. What's the population of Guatemala? Population of Guatemala, 17 million. So that's about the whole, the total population of Guatemala is not even half the population of California, of the documented population in California, of one U.S. state. Anyways, the metropolitan triangle that comprises Los Angeles, Long Beach, and Santa Ana is home to the largest share of the U.S. Guatemalan diaspora, about 230,000 people out of the total estimated as large as 1.6 million. Yeah, you're going to want to campaign in America when your population is 17 million and 1.6 million of your possible voters are in a foreign land in America. And these foreigners are mad. They're apparently, according to this, are angry and frustrated that they didn't campaign in LA. Talk about divided loyalties here. I mean, geez. The dismal turnout for the third presidential, like the language they use is just funny, that they're so, meaning they're describing a surprise that a foreign presidential campaign wouldn't be happening in America. Organized by the Guatemalan Migrant Network. What the heck is a Guatemalan Migrant Network? Why does your country have a migrant network? And held at the Church of Scientology Celebrity Center. Amazing. In his opening remarks at the forum, Walter Batres, president of the Guatemalan Migrant Network, praised the 3 candidates who showed up. You did not get off the plane. You did not make excuses. You are complying with an invitation that the migrants made to you. That shows that you do have a visa. What is this guy even saying? What is this even saying? So yeah, did you know this? For decades, Guatemalans living in the U.S. have helped shore up their ancestral nation's revenue stream by sending back remittances. If for no other reason, many immigrants believe that should give politicians an incentive to care about their votes. Guatemalan leaders and activists in Southern California said that they're most concerned about stemming the flow of Guatemalan emigration, lifting the country's economy, and restoring the rule of law. It's just so backwards. Now, I don't blame the Guatemalans trying to campaign because they see there's a lot of political power in America for their own country. But apparently one of the main points here of the Guatemalan presidential campaign is to stem the flow of Guatemalan emigration because although it may not be plainly said, immigration into America is negative for the countries that it's happening out of. You're losing people that could work in your country, change it, make it better, a possible future president, a possible future engineer, or whatever of your country, right? They're usually the people leaving are young, single males of military fighting age. A nation's lifeblood, the stock of their nation, leaving, being pilfered, lost to another country. Going to another country to what? Find a better life, which is what? Eat the milk and honey. Okay. In some cases, in most cases, in a lot of cases. Okay. but the backwards kind of political thinking here, where you're campaigning, and that's a main point. You want to stem the flow, but you're campaigning to these people who've left and are in another country. It's just so upside down. And why do those people even care? Okay, well, they care because they're from there, right? Guatemalans. Fair enough. I answered my own question. But the point here, the kind of detail here that's missed is they also were angry that they didn't campaign, these Guatemalans didn't campaign in LA. Which makes you wonder, what is their motivation in voting anyways in the first place? Wouldn't it be to vote and make your country that you left better? Because you still have a loyalty, right? You were born there and all that. That's fair enough. You'd want to see your country do better, even if you're living abroad and you had the chance to vote abroad. But why would you care about them campaigning in LA? It seems to betray any logic behind, I want the best for my country. It doesn't seem to fit that logic. But that's interesting. That happens here. There's enough Guatemalans for that. Let me see here. I wanted to see if there's any comments from the LA Guatemalans that explain why they were, like, if they gave any reasons. The culture of care for migrants needs to change, said Mulet. Interesting. Apparently, I'm just reading the article here. And this person, this Guatemalan, in this article, wants the culture of care to change for migrants, but is making this request in the context of a Guatemalan presidential election where the candidates are campaigning in America so that they can get the votes of the Guatemalans who left Guatemala to live in America. Incredible times. Incredible stuff. What's up with so many? All I see is letters in the chat. Who's Faith? Why are you simping for Faith? I originally thought the F towers, these Faith towers in my chat, I thought it was this, you guys were being cute and Christian or something. Like, oh, that's cute. You know what? No N-word towers here. Only Faith towers because we're Christian. But I come to find out that you're simping for some woman? Is that what's going on here? Someone going to tell me the truth or no? Someone going to tell me the truth or no? Jeez. Can we at least, like, I get it. I get it, guys. We grew up in this world. We got traumatized. We picked up all these dirty things. But can we at least not celebrate it? Along the way, you picked up being a simp. You made women your god. Fine. I'm not going to judge you for it. But can we at least not celebrate it? These faiths ain't loyal. Okay. I got another thing here. Oh, what's up, Rumble? Hey, that's super cool. Big Mama Obama. I was pronouncing your name wrong. Big Mama Obama. They spell it interesting. In the chat there, that's very nice. Thank you. I got Being Enlightened Till I Rise in the Rumble chat. Dennis 2020. Very nice. The UFOs have already invaded in droves and they can't debate and they all vote Demon Rat, says Big Mama Obama. Dang, Faith is everyone's girl in the chat. Jeez. Okay. I got another story here. I got another report here. Big bombshell reports. Only big bombshell reports here. This one has to do with Instagram. Okay, pedogram was trending on Twitter today, a portmanteau of the words pedophile and Instagram, as people online were reacting to a bombshell article by the Wall Street Journal titled Instagram Connects Vast Pedophile Network. okay? And so this Wall Street Journal article has this bombshell report. Let's get into it a little bit here. Instagram connects vast pedophile network. Instagram, the popular social media site owned by Meta Platforms, helps connect and promotes a vast network of accounts openly devoted to the commission and purchase of underage sex content, according to investigations by the Wall Street Journal and researchers at Stanford University. Okay? Pedophiles have long used the internet, but unlike the forums and file transfer services that cater to people who have internet interest in illicit content, Instagram doesn't merely host these activities, its algorithms promote them. Instagram connects pedophiles and guides them to content sellers via recommendation systems that excel at linking those who share niche interests, the journal and academic researchers found. Imagine that. Imagine that. Social media being used to go after the kids. Though out of sight for most on the platform, the sexualized accounts on Instagram are brazen about their interests. The researchers found that Instagram enabled people to search explicit hashtags such as, I can't even say some of this stuff, preteen sex, and connected them to accounts that use the terms to advertise child sex material for sale. Such accounts often claim to be run by the children themselves, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so that's what's going on. That's why it was trending. This big bombshell investigative report is saying that Instagram is not only not dealing with these accounts, but that their algorithms make it easy for you to find this stuff. Should you be one of these people who has this unfortunate proclivity, you can just type in hashtag whatever and Instagram will serve it for you. Some of these accounts apparently post menus of content. Certain accounts invite buyers to commission specific acts and other dirty things. Okay. But there was this one part of this article that struck me because whatever, gross things happening on the internet, but we can't be sure what Instagram is really doing. Are they really pushing it? Like, it's this investigative report by Wall Street Journal, and although probably some or a lot of what they're saying is true, we can't really be sure of their ultimate what they're ultimately alleging here. So whatever. I mean, I'm not too interested. But there was one part here. I'm trying to scroll down. Let me Control F and look for it. Here it is. The pedophilic accounts on Instagram mix brazenness with superficial efforts to veil their activity. Certain emojis function as a kind of code, such as an image of a map, which is shorthand for minor attracted person. You guys remember that one, right? You guys remember that term? That academic term academia is using to describe these people. Very soft euphemism. Minor, it's just a minor attracted person. Or another emoji, one of a cheese pizza, which shares its initials with child pornography. According to many declare themselves, according to this investigation, a cheese pizza emoji, or the term itself, cheese pizza, refers to dirty stuff, okay? Like child pornography. Some of you already probably are probably somewhat educated on this cheese pizza stuff already. And if you don't know, cheese pizza became a conspiratorially linked term when this Comet Pizza stuff came out. And by come out is, I don't know what I mean. I don't mean like it totally, like it's true. I don't really know. But Pizzagate is a conspiracy theory, they call it that went viral during the 2016 United States presidential election cycle, okay? It's been extensively discredited, okay, according to Wikipedia. But it has to do with the personal email account of John Podesta, Hillary Clinton's campaign chair, who was hacked in a phishing attack. But it was that whole WikiLeaks thing where they released all those emails, okay? WikiLeaks published John Podesta's emails in November. And proponents of this Pizzagate conspiracy falsely claimed the emails contained coded messages that connected several high-ranking Democratic Party officials, okay? And in these emails, you see weird weird, John Podesta and others referring to things like cheese pizza. Oh, I want a cheese pizza. And so a lot of people, conspiracy theories, people like that, whatever, they concluded that they made a bunch of weird, I call them weird, but they just made these connections between these emails, weird images of Instagram accounts connected to John Podesta and Comet Pizza. So some of you are way more aware than I on this stuff. 2015 called and wants its conspiracy stuff back, Nick. Yeah. You know, I wasn't even too aware of it back then. But there was this, back to today, in this Wall Street Journal thing where they mentioned this cheese pizza thing. I mean, look, I was never into the Comet Pizza stuff. But look, this is what they were saying about you guys back then. This is what they were saying about you guys. What cheese pizza means to the internet's conspiracy mongers. And other articles such as this, the whole thing was laughed at by the mainstream media. The idea that anybody even uses a term cheese pizza for that sordid stuff. Well, guess not. That's 1 point for you guys. I guess you know what I mean? 1 point for the conspiracy guys, because according to the Wall Street Journal and their bombshell investigation here, cheese pizza is used by internet pedophiles to refer to this sordid content. Huh. It reminds me of that recent report. It was that Bill Gates report. It was pretty recent. Here it is, New York Post. Jeffrey Epstein threatened to expose Bill Gates' alleged affair with Russian bridge player. And I don't know too much of the Epstein stuff either, but the whole thing at the time was, the story was, okay, Epstein is connected with powerful people, and he's using, he's blackmailing them and forcing them to comply or whatever. Weird. There is multiple conspiracy theories, but the theory is that Epstein is connected with these high-ranking people, officials, celebrities, and that using knowledge of weird sex things they may or may have not done, Epstein was blackmailing them and for whatever reason, right? But of course, that was a conspiracy. That was a conspiracy that is completely unfounded. But remember, it was this recent thing where it was revealed that Epstein threatened to expose an affair Bill Gates allegedly had. Now, not saying this is proof. This is proof. Again, I don't care about these things or think about them too much or know about them too much. The Epstein thing and all the Comet Pizza. But, you know, this, although it doesn't, you know, this Epstein thing, although it doesn't prove, you know, the allegations that the late financier Epstein was doing these things, it does show that he was doing things like that. You know, threatening to expose affairs sounds a little bit like blackmail and extortion. You know what I'm saying? I mean, wild stuff in the news, guys, this morning. Not that wild. I don't care too much, but hey, I'm just reporting the news here. You guys make your own conclusions. Or you know what? Maybe it's best you don't. Maybe it's best you don't make any conclusions. One ear and out the other, right? It's a better way to live. All right. I got one last thing here for you guys. It's about D-Day. Because yesterday was the D-Day anniversary, no? June 6th. Tuesday, June 6th, 79th anniversary of D-Day, when troops from the United States, United Kingdom, and Canada landed on the beaches of France, Normandy. The day was momentous because Allied soldiers infiltrated occupied Western Europe, entering through the beaches of Normandy, which were held by Nazi Germany. And so that was yesterday. D-Day tributes and all that. I didn't mention it. In fact, I didn't see any tributes or anything. But this morning, I forget who mentioned it, but someone mentioned that yesterday was that anniversary. And I heard Jesse Lee Peterson, who I'm on his network. I heard JLP say something I've never heard about. I've never heard someone say this about D-Day and anniversaries of wartime events such as that. He said, why do people celebrate and this anniversary of D-Day? Why do they celebrate? I'm paraphrasing now, but he says something like, why do people celebrate killing? And killing, why do they celebrate this, going over there to kill other people? I've never heard it put that way because, as we all know, it's supposed to be a remembering the sacrifice, like Memorial Day and stuff. It's just remembering the sacrifice of those before us, so we can remember why life is so good for us, because those that died before us and all that, right? But I've never heard it described like, oh, why are we celebrating going over there to kill people? And I just thought that was an interesting way of describing it, because in a lot of ways, and just to finish what Jesse was saying, he was saying, because all this celebration of going over there to kill other people, it's just going to make people today get their ego puffed up and think that they should or it'd be good. Let me know if the stream's okay, but that it's good or is, it would be a good thing to go over somewhere and die and kill people and die for your country and all that. And it's just, that is kind of true when you think about it. It's this celebration and I mean, I wonder about the facts of all that anyways. World War II and all that. So I just found that to be an interesting point that Jesse brought up. But also, I've talked about General George S. Patton. I've talked about him before on the show. And what a guy, General Patton. Some of you may know who I'm talking about here. He was a general in the United States Army, commanded the 7th United States Army in the Mediterranean theater of World War II. There was the Pacific Theater, of course, and all that. Some say the bloodiest, but General Patton commanded the 7th United States Army, like I said, Mediterranean theater of World War II. So yeah, big name at the time. Should definitely do a White History Month thing on him. Manhood Hour thing on him. Deserves it if anyone did. But yesterday there was this Revolver article which made me want to talk about it today, because yesterday there was a reading highlighted in this movie of this movie, 1970 movie called Patton, because General Patton, he made some speeches on the, in the morning of, was it the morning of? Let me find out. Yeah, he delivered a series of speeches on the morning of the Normandy invasion, which was, the remembrance of it was yesterday, okay? And at the time, Patton and the 7th United States Army was stationed, was basically stationed as a decoy. He was stationed in England as a decoy to fool the Nazis into thinking the attack would happen from a different location, north of Normandy. According to this Revolver article, like everyone else in the world, Patton found out about the Normandy invasion by tuning in to the BBC at 7 o'clock in the morning on June 6, 1944. Patton also at the time delivered a series of speeches known as Patton's Speech to the Third Army, addressing the soldiers of the United States Third Army. These speeches were given before the Allied invasion of France and aimed to inspire and uplift the relatively inexperienced Third Army troops. But what's interesting about this speech is that this speech is heavily censored. Hollywood censored it in this 1970 movie, and any kind of reading of this speech is, is censored. Make it palatable for Hollywood, for the people. But there's a spicy portion of an omitted speech from the movie that Revolver posted, and let's see how much of it I should read. I mean, I'll get into it here. I find this man fascinating, this speech interesting. I'll read it out. It's not too long, and then we'll close off the show here. The real words of Patton. I've brought him up before. He made some comments about the Russians. Let me pull him up. He had some choice thoughts about the Russians. Hold on. The difficulty in understanding the Russian is that we do not take cognizance of the fact he is not a European, but an Asiatic, and therefore thinks deviously. This is Patton's words. We can no more understand a Russian than a Chinaman or a Japanese, and from what I've seen of them, I have no particular desire to understand them, except to ascertain how much lead or iron it takes to kill them. These are words of General S. Patton, YouTube, okay? In addition to his other amiable characteristics, the Russian has no regard for human life and is an all-out son of a beep, a barbarian, and a chronic drunk. Jeez. Dang, Patton. Anyways, let me get into this speech a little bit here. Let me see which part here I wanted to get into, because this whole thing here is pretty much omitted. General Patton, be seated, men. This stuff that some sources sling around about America wanting out of this war, not wanting to fight, is a crock of bull. Beep. Americans love to fight. Traditionally, all real Americans love the sting and clash of battle. You are here today for 3 reasons. First, because you are here to defend your homes and your loved ones. Second, you are here for your own self-respect because you would not want to be anywhere else. Third, you are here because you are a real man, and real men like to fight. Who loves conflict? Who doesn't love conflict? When you here, every one of you, were kids, you all admired the champion marble player, the fastest runner, the toughest boxer, the big league ball players, and the all-American football players. Americans love a winner. Americans will not tolerate a loser. Americans despise cowards. Americans play to win all of the time. I wouldn't give a hoot in hell for a man who lost and laughed. That's why Americans have never lost nor will ever lose a war. For the very idea of losing is hateful to an American. Dang. You are not all going to die. Only 2% of you right here would die in a major battle. Death must not be feared. Death in time comes to all men. Yes, every man is scared in his first battle. If he says he's not, he's a liar. Some men are cowards, but they fight the same as the brave men, or they get the hell slammed out of them watching men fight who are just as scared as they are. The real hero is the man who fights even though he is scared. Some men get over their fright in a minute under fire. For some, it takes an hour. For some, it takes days. But a real man will never let his fear of death overpower his honor, his sense of duty to his country, his innate manhood. Battle is the most magnificent competition in which a human being can indulge. It brings out all that is best and it removes all that is base. Americans pride themselves on being he-men, and they are he-men. Patton popularizing the phrase "I am him" before its popularity we see today. Remember that the enemy is just as frightened as you are, and probably more so. They are not supermen. All through your Army careers, you men have bitched about what you call chicken-ish drilling. That, like everything else in this Army, has a definite purpose. The purpose is alertness. Alertness must be bred into every soldier's. I don't give a F for a man who's not always on his toes. That's what Patton says. You men are veterans, or you wouldn't be here. A man must be alert at all times if he expects to stay alive. If you're not alert, sometime a German son of an a-hole B word is going to sneak up behind you and beat you to death with a sock full of ish. Yeah, it goes on like this for a little bit. He does a good segment here about not surrendering. Very inspiring. What if every truck driver suddenly decided he didn't like the whine of those shells overhead, turned yellow, and jumped headlong into a ditch? No, God damn it. Americans don't think like that. Every man does his job. Every man serves the whole. Every department, every unit, important in the vast scheme of war. Each man must not think only of himself. This part, some of these are I think this is one of the parts why it got omitted. We don't want yellow cowards in this army. They should be killed off like rats. If not, they will go home after this war and breed more.